This is the Canon R100, one of Canon's most beginner-friendly and cheapest cameras they sell to date. But is it good for someone that want to start taking photos or maybe even start making videos? Well, let's talk about it. Okay, so let's start with the build quality. Now, the moment you pick up this camera, you can notice that Canon didn't put much effort in the layout and build quality of this camera. I mean, there's minimal buttons, it doesn't even have a flip screen, and me as a content creator, I find that kind of irritating. But overall, the grip is pretty small because of that smaller battery, which can last up to a while but can only take up to 400 photos before you have to recharge the battery. With only one SD card slot, an aux cable, USB-C and micro HDMI, that is the only stuff you get on this camera. And obviously the rest, it has a viewfinder, a hot shoe and a flash you should put up manually if you want to use it. As for the rest of the camera, it's kind of what you would expect from any Canon camera, the record button, your mode selector and on and off switch. But even though it's so small and it's very minimal, I think it's pretty cool because of how light it is. I mean, it only comes in at about 350 grams, which in my opinion is very light. Comparing it to my Sony with the Tamron 17-70, it's almost a 900 gram setup. So going from that to this is actually pretty nice. Okay, so I just want to give you a general idea of how the footage looks straight out of this camera. So I'm just going to quickly film something on this side and let me get you an idea of how this is kind of going to look. So let me just focus on that real quick and then record. So as you guys can see, it is not bad at all. Let me push into 45 millimeters. Let me just move a bit closer here and then record. Now please note my settings is not 4K, it's Ultra HD at 50 frames per second. And as you guys can see, it is definitely not bad at all. My shutter speed is about 1/250 and my ISO is 640. Okay, so let me just move a bit closer so you can see how close up this camera can get. So as you guys can see, it is definitely not a bad camera when it comes to taking videos. Well, when it comes to taking photos, I think it's a different story. And I will talk about this later on, but it has the exact same sensor as my Sony a6600. And to be honest, that 24 megapixels is more than enough, especially, I'll show you just now, on my 200mm lens, I can zoom in a whole bunch without losing so much quality. So yeah, if you just want to take some normal photos and stuff like that, I think this is not a bad camera at all. Okay, but all of that out of the way, how does this camera even look? Well, right now I'm shooting at about 18mm f4.5, which is the lowest aperture that this kit lens can go. Okay, so right now I switched to manual settings, so my ISO is about 100 with 1/200 shutter speed and f4.5. Now let's quickly talk about the focus of this camera. Now the problem is it doesn't have a continuous eye tracking autofocus when shooting video. It kind of sucks, but when you're generally taking photos and something and you're behind the camera, the focus is not bad at all. I mean, it kind of detects something, it doesn't really detect a face or anything, but it does glue to something when you press that shutter button. So this is a bit more cropped in. I think I'm at 45mm at the moment. So yeah, this is kind of how it would look. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is actually a pretty cool camera if you just want to go and start out. But let's run back a bit more of the specs, so let's head inside. So if you buy the creator kit for this camera, it's gonna come with two separate lenses. The first lens is the kit lens, which is an 18-45mm f4.5 to 5.6 depending on how you zoom in. And I mean, comparing that with the Sony kit lens, which is a 16-50 f3.5, I mean, it's not the best, but let me know if you want to see that comparison. And the other lens you get is a 50-210 zoom lens, which I think is actually pretty cool. I mean, I've gotten some insanely cool shots with the zoom lens just because it has so much more reach. Okay, so here is a quick comparison. So this is my Sony a6600 at 4K and 24 frames per second. And this is the Canon r100, also at 4K, 24 frames per second. You might be wondering, why is it cropped in so much? Well, that is simply, I'm at 18 millimeters, but when you put this camera in 4K, it crops in a lot. I mean, my camera here is at 17 millimeters, I probably think. Yeah, 17 millimeters, and this is at 18 millimeters. So yeah, it does unfortunately crop in a lot, but both of these cameras have the same 24 megapixel sensor. And to be honest, if you're just gonna put it on a tripod like this, the Canon r100 is not bad at taking videos at all. And you just wanna make some shorts, some reels, everything like that, I think it is pretty good. But the real problem comes in when you want to shoot some cinematic stuff, because this camera has no IBIS and the settings is a bit weird, especially with that high f-stop. You're not going to get the most quality out of this camera, especially if you want to start making films and making videos. Okay, so now you have a brief idea of how it's going to look inside. Now please note, I just used the auto settings, so I didn't do anything manually, and that's kind of how it looked. As for other video settings, it does not have S-Log or anything like that, but it does have some what Canon calls creative filters that you can put over your videos to give it a different touch. Okay, so I know I've been comparing this camera a lot to my Sony camera, and I think it's kind of unfair because this camera is actually very cheap. I mean, you can get this whole creator kit combo for around $900, completely new with 2 lenses, a battery and a SD card, which I think is pretty cool. And if you don't use the creator kit, you can get it for even cheaper. Unlike my Sony, which is about $900 for the camera alone, and then my lens as well, another $500. So yeah, as I said, coming from a smartphone, I think this is actually a pretty good camera to buy for your very first one. Now, if you watch my channel long enough, you know I'm not the biggest fan of Canon. Why do people even use Canons? But I must say, if someone came to me and said, listen, I'm looking for my first ever small camera, I'm not gonna do heavy work with it, I would recommend this camera 100%. So yeah, that is my conclusion, what I think of the Canon r100. And yes, by all means, I think it is a great starter camera. You can never go wrong with it. So if you have any further questions, please just drop it in the comments. I'll reply to each and every one of you. If you want to see my review of the Tamron 17-70, that video would be right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.